All right, welcome back. Hopefully you had a little bit of time to try these out. What I did was I went back and got my assignment from last week, the financial literacy assignment, and I'm just going to pull up, there we go. This particular equation that we wrote was kind of complicated, and I really did not want to write it again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. Actually, let me make a new tab just to keep this nice. And I'm going to paste it. Now, the reason that all those hashtags are showing up is just because the column's not big enough. No, cancel. I don't want to do that. Come on. Looking for that little... There we are. I was up too high. Okay, so that's what we had done before. Now, with this particular situation, with this guy's mortgage, remember, he is borrowing $64,000. He has a rate of 0.052. He's paying monthly, so 12 and 30 years. So there is his monthly payment. Take a look at that. See if that matches yours. All right, now that's the first question that we were asked. So that's the monthly payment, $351. Let me grab my eraser. So I'm going to write $351.43. So that's what he's going to pay every month. Now that is before he pays for, what did I say earlier? Sorry, I totally flew my mind. Oh, the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance. So, but they didn't bring that up in this problem. So don't worry about it. If they did, what we would have to do is add it up for the year and divide it by 12 and then add it to this amount. So like, let's say you had $2,000. I don't know. I just pulled that number out of the air. You would have to take 2,000. Sorry, I didn't get the eraser there. Divide that by 12. That's your homeowners and your property taxes. And then you would have to add that. And then you would get a new monthly payment. So if you had homeowners, property taxes, that sort of thing, then that's what you would do. We do not have that in this problem, so I am not going to do that here. Now they'd like to know the total cost of the mortgage. Well, that means we're making 12 payments. If you look at the Excel spreadsheet, remember we're making 12 payments for 30 years. Okay, so let's write total number of payments times 30, and we get 360. Okay, so that's a lot of payments, but 30 years is a long time. So now if we take that 351.43, we're going to pay that 360 times. I'm going to write another little formula, equals. This is going to get paid 360 times. He's going to pay out in mortgage payments, assuming he doesn't pay ahead or he doesn't miss anything, $126,000, $515.15. So let's write that down. The total cost, I'll call that total cost, sorry, that should be a 6. There we go. All right. Now, the total interest is the difference between what he pays on a principal and what he pays as a total cost. So if we take this total cost and we subtract his principal, of $64,000. And again, we can grab a calculator and do that. I'm just going to put it here so you can watch me. I'm going to say equals this amount minus his principal. He's going to pay $62,515.15 just in interest. I'll put TI for total interest. That's a lot of interest on an $80,000 house. It's almost as much as the house, which is really stressful for people when they see how much interest they're paying because they're paying for 30 years. It gets a little stressful. Okay, but some of that interest, you can deduct that on your taxes. So there is benefits to this interest. It doesn't, it's not just a horrible, horrible thing. But let's see what happens if we change the term to 15 years and we lower the rate a little bit. Let's just go back. I'm not going to write everything out here, but he's still going to borrow $64,000, but now his rate is 4.5%. And notice how I'm putting that in as a decimal. See if I click on the cell, it says 4.5%, but I really entered it as 0.045. It's rounding up because I haven't fixed the decimal places. I gotta click the other one. Oops, sorry. I have too many cells highlighted. Sorry about that. There we go. No, it's just not letting me do that. Let me hit the save button real quick. I think it just might be my computer a little bit. Yeah. Let me close that. And then we'll just open that right back up. Sometimes it just gets locked up a little bit, and that's on my end. Now I guess it's just highlighting that whole thing. So if I wanted to format that, technically I should be able to use these, but because of the way this initial file was formatted, it's not letting me. Let's see if we can format cells here. See if it'll let me. Yeah, there we go. So sometimes those shortcuts work and sometimes they don't. Really, I didn't need 2 decimal places. I just wanted to show you how to do it. So now our term is not 30 years. It is 15 years. Now look what's happening to his mortgage payment. Okay, he's paying more. I'm going to go write that down real quick. Per month. I should qualify that. He's paying a bigger payment every month, which makes sense because he's paying it off quicker. And it's still the same $64,000. He's just paying it off twice as fast. But let's just investigate. This is really interesting to me. Look at what's happening to his total payments. Remember the other number, 126,000? Well, look at this now. It's 88,000. So his payments are actually smaller. And this is the really interesting part. Look at the interest payment. It's only 24,000 compared to what was he paying? 64,000. It's basically a third. Sorry, just writing that number down. Okay. So I just think that's really interesting. When we first bought our house in Stafford, we bought a house at 30 years, and then rates did something a while back. Went down. They became really affordable. And this was maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And then we refinanced for a 15-year mortgage. And our payments basically stayed the same because our rate went down so much. So sometimes people do that. You probably hear a lot of talking about that now because rates are so low. So part C says, for each scenario, what percent of the total paid is principal? Okay, so principal for both of them is $64,000. So I'm going to put that in the numerator. But the total paid, the total cost of it, drastically varies. So, you don't have to be fancy about it all the time, but you can do this equals that divided by, let's see, total payment. Oh, I did that wrong. They wanted the principal. One sec. There we go. Equals principal. There we go. Divided by total payment. So this is, like, you're probably wondering, what is she showing us here? Well, what I'm showing you is that the principal is 72.6%. So we're paying less money in interest. Let's do the other one here. I'm just going to totally copy this over. One second. I'll show them to you side by side, sort of. Okay. And look what's happening here. The principal is only 50%. And really, you want to pay down your principal as much as possible because that's how you're going to pay off your house. But it's going to take a lot longer to do that when you're paying so much more in interest over 30 years. So that's the difference. The principal is half of the total payments. But when you decrease the amount of time that you're borrowing the money, the principal all of a sudden becomes a bigger part of the total cost paid, and you're paying less in interest. Here, this is about 50-50. You're paying about 50% principal, 50% interest. Here, you're paying about 73% principal, and whatever 100 minus 73 is, 27% interest. So it's a big difference. So let me just save that, rename, I'll just call that mortgage. Like I said, you can go into your table 1.2 and grab those formulas that you already have, that you've written in the previous one. That's a pain to write every time. I didn't want to rewrite that. So I am totally okay with you doing that as well. So what you are going to do, I'm going to end the video in just a second. Thank you for your attention. You're going to come down here and you're going to talk about this couple. Okay, they're buying a more expensive house. They're also making a down payment of 20%. And you're going to do the exact same thing as we did for David and his house. Then you're going to come over here. I do not need you to do 6. So let me put, hopefully you guys are watching to the end. Otherwise, you're going to be, wait a minute, why are we doing 6? We are not doing 6. And let me see what's back here. Okay, so that's number 4. This is number 5. It says your monthly payment will likely be more than just the cost of the mortgage. Lenders often require borrowers to pay 1/12 of the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance each month. The lender holds these funds in escrow and makes the annual or semi-annual payments for you. If the property taxes are $600 per year, which is unheard of cheap, let me grab my pen. And the insurance is $800 per year. Okay, so that's total. I'm adding those. That's $1,400. Okay. Now, if you were to divide that out over the course, remember they said 1/12. So I'm just going to divide that out real quick. Anytime you do those mortgage calculators on the internet, they do not factor in the escrow payments. So it's about $116.67. Let's clear that out. And then what you would do, I'm not going to actually ask you to do this number 5. I'm kind of working it through with you. But what you would do then is this would get added to your mortgage payment every month. Okay. Just kind of something else to think about. Your escrow payment is not a choice. It's usually required. Okay. So you don't really need to worry about anything on here. I just wanted to show you that. And then what I would like you to do is just sort of in the Excel spreadsheet, like you can in your mortgage tab, you can just put like number 5 and type some stuff. Or if you really want to, let me hit enter. If you would really prefer not to, you can enter a text box and then type me a little answer, however you prefer to do that. But I would just like to hear what you have to say. Why is it sometimes advantageous to refinance a loan? That means refinance, like you've already got the loan, but you're going to redo the loan entirely at a lower interest rate and shorter term, kind of like what I was describing Mr. Lucas and I did several years ago. Okay. And I understand that's kind of a abstract concept. So just give me a sentence or two. I'm not looking for anything like an essay or a 5-paragraph prompt or anything like that. So what you should be turning in is that entire spreadsheet that you've been working on. The first part, you scroll up to the top with the auto stuff. And I did not go over this again because I graded all your stuff from last week and I put comments into the canvas so that you could see where your mistakes were. And then so I want to see those, and I want to see the mortgage. I want to see those 2 tabs in one file turned in the canvas modules. Okay, so you'll be seeing another page after here to turn that in like you have been doing. Okay, thank you very much. Talk to you soon.